Good day, sir. So, my name is Louise Sastrillo. I'm BSME third year student. So, for today, I'll be discussing about the negative effects brought about by innovations and technological advances. So, first, the negative effects of the brought by innovations and technological advances that technology affects our sleeping habits. We all know that technology really affects our sleeping habits because we encountered that situation. Self-reports suggest that sleep is indeed affected by technology used in the hour before bed. So many of us use technology before bed. Such late-night technology users report less satisfactory sleep more often than those not using technology before bed. So late-night technology, the user report that satisfactory and sleep while using late-night technology can make us lack of sleep. They are also more likely to feel sleepier during the day in a range of situations, including driving. So using late-night technology can make us feel sleepier or tired during the day or during in your work or school or including driving. Technology has definitely impacted how we sleep. So really, it is really technology definitely impacted on how we sleep because many of us stay up far too late in the night texting or chatting friends or scrolling through social media. Especially now, many of us while watching TikTok, YouTube, scrolling Facebook, chatting friends or girlfriend or boyfriend. It's hard to put the devices away even when we're tired. So it is really hard. We all know that because we encountered that kind of situation. But that's bad. How many of us are guilty of waking up in the middle of the night and rolling over to check our phones? So how many of us? I think all of us, or 80% of us are guilty of waking up in the middle of the night. And it can really affect our sleeping habit. Both kids and adults alike spend countless hours watching funny videos or other mindless amusements. So both kids and adults spend countless hours watching funny videos or mindless, and this situation can really affect especially to the kids, to their eye. It's hard to pull ourselves away from the apps that are intentionally designed to keep us sucked in. So it's hard to pull ourselves away from them, especially to the kids playing the mobile game like Mobile Legends. They put many time on that playing, and that's bad. All of this leads to interrupted rest and overall poor sleeping habits. So all of these countless hours watching funny videos or playing mobile games can interrupted our rest and overall poor sleeping habits. It can affect our sleeping habits. The light from the television impact our sleep patterns as well. For those who fall asleep with the TV on, so the light that came out from the television can affect our not only in our eye but our sleep patterns as well for those people that fall asleep while watching TV. Regularly engaging in these habits has made our sleep even worse. So engaging in these habits, the using of technology before bed can make our sleep even worse. The late night use of devices alters our brain production of melatonin. So the late night use of devices can really affect our brain's production of melatonin. The sleep hormone, it can also affect the sleep hormone, and which makes it harder for us to get a good night's sleep. So using devices not only can affect our brain, our sleep hormone, but it makes us harder to get a good night's sleep or a very good sleep that you will not be feeling tired during the day. So that's all, sir, for the technology affects our sleeping habits. Thank you and God bless.
I am Sapio and I will discuss the second negative effect of the innovations and technological advancement. So number 2, technology leaves us feeling isolated. Studies warn that relying on technologies to communicate can reduce our enjoyment of face-to-face interactions, makes us feel anxious, and undermine our mental well-being. So, loneliness can be more painful felt online, where exposure to idealized images of friends can result in negative social comparison. So the enjoyment that we feel of communicate through technologies is different from the feeling that we feel in a face to face. Like there is a comfort of communicate. It's easy for us to communicate through technologies than to relay our message face to face. So the other one is people can become more dependent on social media connections than real life connections. So studies have found recently that despite being more connected than ever, more people feel more alone than ever. It causes self-centeredness and lack of empathy for others. Into the bargain of average amount of screen time being spent by people today has grown to 11 hours. That as an increase of 9 hours and 45 minutes from last year's research. An unbalanced use of technology can contribute to isolation, depression, low self-esteem, anxiety, and increase of mortality rates. So researchers haven't been able to approve the direct causative effects of the relationship between the social media and the mental health. So however it seems more coincidence that the rates of anxiety and depression in young people have been rising concurrently with those social media usage. So with social media it may help to cultivate friendships and reduce loneliness, as an evidence suggests the excessive use of negatively impacts self-esteem and life satisfaction. It also linked to increase in mental health problems and suicidality, though yet it's not conclusively. So that's all for my report. Thank you.
Hi guys, so we will be moving on to the next topic, which is technology promotes a more sedentary lifestyle. Now, before we get started, let's first explain the word sedentary. So what exactly is a sedentary lifestyle? So this is a type of lifestyle with little to no physical activity or exercise, meaning there's the kind of life where we're more prone to sitting around, lying around, basically doing things that don't really exert much energy. Now, this is one of the downfalls of having a technology that is advanced as we are in now. This may be one of the biggest drawbacks of a device-filled world. Kids who play video games constantly and those who spend a great deal of their time online don't get as much physical exercise. The advances in technology result in keeping us glued to our devices, whether on the sofa watching TV or with a cell phone in our hand. What often starts as a quick scroll through social media soon turns into a fall down the rabbit hole with no end in sight. The more time we spend hanging out on YouTube and Instagram, the less time we spend doing things outside or doing other things. Now, if we can compare how it used to be in the past and how it is now, kids nowadays spend more time looking at screens, watching TV, anything that relates to technology, instead of doing things outside like playing or any physical activities that might come in their mind. So it's not the same as how it was before. I still got to experience a kind of childhood where I would always be outside. That is because the technology back then wasn't as advanced. I didn't have any cell phone or iPad when I was a kid. I had a tablet as soon as I became like a teenager or close to being a teenager. I was privileged enough to have those certain devices or technology that I could get my hands into. Now, I can definitely compare how it was before technology was really popular and when technology wasn't as popular back then. It was certainly very different, and it definitely gives us more motivation. Technology gives us more motivation to stay inside because there is so many things we can discover and so many interesting things that we can do without having to exert any physical efforts. Like, I could be glued into my phone and I would be able to watch all kinds of movies, search any kind of stuff, and I didn't have to do anything. In short, it made me lazy because I could experience some incredible things while just being at home, laying in bed, staring at my screen. So this prevented me from having any motivation to go out and explore the world when I could just do it behind the screen. Now, while advances in technology have provided many benefits to society, new technology has also led to a substantial reduction in the amount of incidental physical activity. Physical activities previously conducted as part of a standard working day, active transport, labor, etc., or as part of domestic duties around the home, cleaning and cooking, have been reduced or replaced by machines. The relatively recent development of the internet and its accessibility on mobile devices like phones, tablets, and others has also negatively impacted our physical activity. Now, since we have all this new technology, all these machines that could do things for us, it had made us very dependent on technology nowadays, and it had replaced all the labor-intensive activities or the physical activities that we used to do. So there is both an advantages and disadvantages with the new technology or just technology in general coming into our world or society.
Good day, my name is Franc Neil Sun and I'm going to continue. Number 4, technology is a constant source of distraction. So as we all know that as the technology becomes more advanced or progressive, it makes the life easier. But unfortunately, it is a constant source of distraction. So next, so these are examples of distraction by technology. So the first one is answering calls while driving or holding calls to prolong conversation. So like this. So it is very common nowadays that most of us are doing this. Even in ourselves, we knew that it is wrong, we are still doing it. So the major problem of this is that it could lead to accidents or even death. So next is incoming messages and notifications constantly. So like this, it loses our focus on what else we may be trying to do. For example, when our mother ordered us to clean the house while she's out and wanted us to be finished before she gets home. So when we started to clean, messages comes and notifies us. So out of curiosity, of course, we wanted to know who messaged us or what the content of the message is. So by that, we are distracted, and when our mother arrived, we are not yet finished by our work. So next, so the image I'm going to show is like us. So if you look at this image, you'll know what I mean. So the girl is doing something important, but she can't resist that she wanted to do something else, like the image. So like using cell phone or drink some coffee or even play online games. So almost all of us can relate to this image. So while doing something important, we need time to relax, of course, and continue what we are doing. So by that, even if we wanted to continue what is more important, our attention is distracted by our own gadgets. So by scrolling in social media platforms such as Facebook or Instagram, or by playing online games in our pastime. So that it makes our pastime constantly extending. So that's all about my report.
So, good day. This time we're going to talk about the negative effects of technology, and my topic is technology leads to neck pain and bad posture. So, facts about neck pain caused by technology. First, neck pain caused by technology may lead to long-term problems. Neck pain is not the only symptom. Every degree counts when it comes to neck pain, and you can correct the problem with a natural therapy and few lifestyle adjustments. So, neck pain caused by technology may lead to long-term problems. Most people ignore neck pain once they decide it is related to technology. They often think, I'll just use my phone this week or take vacation from the office and I'll be fine in a few days. Unfortunately, once you are feeling pain, you are probably farther along in the process of degeneration of the disc between the vertebrae of the cervical spine. And the end result can be an early onset of arthritis of the spine and the occurrence of disc problems, or the herniation, or the abnormal posturdum of the organ throughout the back, which is our spine. And next is pinched nerves are another problem that can occur when the neck is damaged by constantly looking down at the phone or other electronic devices. So once the natural curve of the neck starts to be affected, it can take a lot of care to restore the spine to a normal position and relieve pressure from the nerves. So next, neck pain is not the only symptom. So there is a greater chance that you will also experience these symptoms: the headaches, upper back pain, shoulder pain, the arm and hand pain, and sciatica. So headaches when the top bones of the spine are misaligned. It can affect blood flow to the brain, the cerebrospinal fluid drainage, and the brainstem function. These factors can all lead to chronic headache or the migraine problems. Next is the upper back pain. So once the neck is out of alignment, the upper back has to shift to compensate. This can lead to pain in the upper back and between the shoulder blades. Next is shoulder pain. The shoulders may also become tight and experience pain or numbness, especially if a nerve is pinched. Arm and hand pain. Pinched nerves can affect everything from the shoulder to the fingertips. So if you are experiencing numbness and tingling throughout your arms and hands, it could be related to neck pain. And last is the sciatica. Upper neck problems can be as far-reaching as the lower back and legs. Sciatic pain can result when changes in the spine put pressure on the sciatic nerve. Since this nerve branches down to both legs, a severe bout can lead to tingling as far as your feet. So next, every degree counts when it comes to neck pain. So this talks about our posture, the degree angle, the position of our neck when we're using the monitor devices, any devices, or cell phones, or watching television. So at 15-degree angle, there is about 27 pounds of pressure in the spine. So this can happen by something as simple as having your monitors too low on your desk at work. At a 30-degree angle, the head exerts 40 pounds of pressure. That means even when you hold up your phone at chest level to check a text, you are still more than tripling the pressure on the spine. And at 45-degree angle, the amount of pressure is up to 49 degrees. It's something to think about before you lay down in bed with a table in your lap to binge watch your favorite TV show. And at 60-degree angle, you end up with a whopping 60 pounds of pressure. The next time you try to sneak a glance at your text with your phone is in your lap during a red light, just remember that you're increasing the pressure on the spine fivefold. So guys, refrain this position or this posture. You're putting a lot of pressure on your spine. And finally, you can correct the problem with natural therapy and few lifestyle adjustments. First, maintain proper posture while using technology. Keep monitors at eye level. Take breaks from electronics, limiting session to 20 minutes at a time, and having some technology free time each day when you don't check your phone or other devices. And last, find an upper cervical chiropractor near you. So, chiropractor, these are licensed professional who treats back and neck pain problems. So I think that would be all for my report. Thank you for watching.
Good evening everyone, I'm Christine Rose Dayot and I will continue our report. Number 6. Technology promotes a shorter attention span. Thanks to social media, many of us have extremely short attention spans. We are bombarded by short videos and small character limits, which only adds to the problem. As a result, we tend to lose our focus quickly as we surf from one video or social media post to another. The impact of screen technology. Particularly susceptible are the young. They rely increasingly on social media to feed their vulnerable sense of self-esteem, and so they enter an addictive cycle of dependency on the feedback they receive through technology. What has changed here is that in the past, they relied on feedback that came from face-to-face interaction with their friends and family. Those who work long hours in front of a computer screen are also undergoing hidden changes to our brain function. It's a scary and sobering thought, especially now that work-from-home setups are very common. Susan Greenfield, a British neuroscientist, warns us that screen technology is having a significant impact on our malleable brains. It is causing our brains to change the way they function. She tells us that the human brain has evolved to its profound capacity due to its ability to learn and adapt to environment. She tells us that our brains are malleable and are substantially shaped by what we do to them and by the experience of daily life. Proof that shorter attention span is linked to technology. A survey conducted in 2012 in the UK indicates that the attention span of children are getting shorter. The survey polled 410 English teachers and 2,000 parents of children aged between 2 and 11. The surveys showed that 91% of teachers believed children's attention spans are becoming shorter as they opt for screen-based activities over conventional reading. It's the first proof of a link between shorter attention spans and technology, Greenfield says. Another effect is the frightening decrease in empathy levels. A 2010 University of Michigan study has found college students have empathy levels that are 40% lower than their counterparts of 20 or 30 years ago, as measured by standard tests of this personality trait on 14,000 students over 30 years. The biggest drop has occurred since 2000, and the researchers suggest that possible factors are the rise of social media, masses of online information, and video games. That's all from my report. Thank you.
So, as continuation to is Christine Diot's report. The next is, it is much easier to be a bully while hidden away online. So these are common nowadays, where everyone hides their identity when they bully due to the cyber crime act, or the Republic Act 10175. So what is cyberbullying? Cyberbullying is often done by children who have increasingly early access to these technologies. So I remember when we were still yung mga batang 90s, so we always play after school. So iba't ibang larong Pinoy. Well, the kids nowadays are busy playing, but with technologies and gadgets. So the problem is compounded by the fact that a bully can hide behind a pseudonymous username. So you can have your own name when you bully online, because there are sites where you can create your own username. So disguising his or her true identity. This secrecy makes it difficult to trace the source and encourages bullies to behave more aggressively than they might in a situation where they were identified. So cyberbullying can include such acts as making threats, sending provocative insults, or racial or ethnic slurs, or discrimination to racism, gay bashing, attempting to infect the victim's computer with a virus, and flooding an email inbox with messages. So these kinds of cyberbullying are done by those pros. So like attempting to infect virus, so they're done by those mostly computer guys. So if you are a victim, you can deal with cyberbullying to some extent by limiting computer connection time, not responding to threatening or defamatory messages, and never opening email messages from sources you did not recognize or from known sources of unwanted communications. More active measures includes blacklisting or whitelisting email accounts, changing email addresses, changing ISPs, changing cell phone accounts, and attempting to trace the source. So those are some ways of preventing cyberbullying. So here are facts of the impacts of negative impacts of cyberbullying. So pivotal innovations such as internet have forever changed how people interact. Online forums provided a communal breeding ground for youth to assault one another. This according to Subramanian, if I'm not mistaken, and Greenfield in 2008. So unlike traditional bullying, cyberbullying allows the offenders to mask his or her identity. So it's like camouflage. So they can hide their identity behind a computer. This anonymity makes it easier for the offender to strike blow against a victim without having to see the victim's physical response. So this gives boost to the bully. It is because he can hide his own identity. So like when the two of them can meet personally, like when they walk across the street, the bully can easily identify the victim, but the victim cannot identify who was the bully, just because the bully is bullying the victim online. So it's like a walking ghost. So the distancing effects that technology devices have on today's youth often leads them to stay and do crueler things compared to what is typical in a traditional face-to-face bullying situation. So that's a fact. So next, let's face it, people tend to be much braver hiding behind an online persona. So it's literally sabotable. You're much more likely to say something online that you would never say in person. The anonymity provided by the internet causes a rampant cyberbullying problem as well. It's easier to say terrible things to do to someone when you may not be held accountable for your actions. In the worst cases, some of the things people say online might even be deadly. Its suicides are on the rise, and online bullying may be one of the primary causes. So there are other cases, especially on celebrities, where they went into psychological exams and testings because they get anxiety attacks, depressions due to cyberbullies like bashing. So, and others may lead to suicide due to those bully where they can take it anymore. So that would be all for my report. Thank you.
So, good day. So, the use of technology may stunt the imagination in children. How technology affects children. Technology is everywhere. And while we cannot and should not ban technology entirely, we can set limits for our children to offset some of the negative effects. Too much screen time can affect your child's physical health as well as their behavior. Learn more about the physical and mental effects of too much of a good thing. Read technology and discover what you can do to help your children. The negative effects of technology on children, from smartphones and social media to TV and tablet based toys, today's kids are constantly inundated, inundated by technology. While it's important for children and teens to develop an aptitude for technology, after all, they will use computers. Their whole lives to computers. I mean, their whole lives to much technology use can have detrimental health and physical effects. The negative effects on children's health run the gamut from increased risk of obesity to loss of social skills and behavioral problems. Of course, this doesn't mean parents need to ban technology entirely, but it's important for parents to be aware of the potential effects of technology on children and develop strategies to limit their children's screen time. Next is negative effects of the technology on children's social development. Technology has completely changed the way we interact with each other. Even as adults, we are more prone to send a text versus make a phone call. Similarly, we often behave differently on social media that we would in person. These differences are exclusive to adults. When kids spend a significant amount of time on social media, it can lead to lower self-esteem. Teens are seeing curated content, a digital highlight reel, which can lead to distress due to teens com- comparing themselves to their peers. In general, technology use can cause social and behavioral problems in children because it minimizes the amount of time kids spend interacting with others. Make sure to monitor your child's social media use and be aware of the types of websites they are visiting and the games they're playing online. Set up parental controls on computers, smartphones, and tablets to block inappropriate websites and apps. Also try to keep the computer game, console, or TV in a common room so you can supervise your child's technology use. In addition to monitoring your child's screen time, it's also important to make sure they engage in social activities, schedule play dates with friends, and encourage your child to interact with others. Another great way to limit screen time and encourage physical activity and social interaction to enroll your kids in a sports league. This way they will have organize practices and games that will allow them to not only exercise but be social with other kids their age. So thank you. That's my report.
Good day everyone, good day sir. My name is Avegael Tampepe and I'm here to discuss about the negative effect brought by innovation and technological advances in the information age. And my topic is all about the technology can cause eye and ear problems. And it is the number 9 on the list of the negative effects. So as we all know, we are totally engaged in social media platforms such as the Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or any other social media platform. So anyone sits in front of a computer or any gadgets all day long knows how mentally and physically draining it can be. At the end of the day, you might notice your eyes become blurry and have difficulties in focusing from constant staring at the screen. And also listening to music and playing video games doesn't help our hearing either, because we often listen to things much too loudly. So some studies and even show that using earbuds on can damage our hearing. So here is Dr. Richard Sugarman, a volunteer professor of ophthalmology at the Bascom Palmer Eye Institution at the University of Miami, said that there is no research that shows constant technology use causes any permanent vision damage, but staring at the bright screen for hours on end can lead to smaller scale problems. So here are the 3 ways technology affects your eyes. So first is tension headaches. Extremely high contrast from LED screen can cause headaches, and reading dark prints on extremely bright background can lead to spasms of the muscles at the temples and your eyes, which causes stress headaches. So it is important to decrease the contrast if you find yourself developing headaches from trying to read off a screen. The second one is dry eye. So when looking at something in the distance, your eyes automatically blink a certain number of times. So however, blink rates slow down when you look at the things that are closer to your face, and which means tears evaporate more quickly than when you are blinking more frequently. The third one is eye strain. So not only does blink rate decrease when you look at the things up close, but your eyes also converge slightly. So the pupils get smaller, muscles in the eye adjust the size of the lens, and the 2 eyes have coverage. So spending hours on a computer or handheld devices or any gadget keeps the eyes coverage and strain the eyes muscles to cause headaches. So the eyes are generally more comfortable when they are parallel. So when you parallel, your eyes are parallel when you look far from distance. So to remedy this problem, look away from the screen a few times an hour to give your eye muscles a break and avoid strain. So spending too much time staring at a bright screen from our laptops, our smartphones, and tablet can cause tension headaches, eye strain, and dry eye. So here is Paul K. Farrell, an associate director of SAA Audiology Practices at the American Speech Language Hearing Association. So he said listening to music or other sound that are too loud for too long has the potential to harm our hearing permanently. So the expert says that the noise exposure is increasingly commonly because of all the portable technology. So whether it is your phone or dedicated music listening device or even our computer, but the extent of noise-related hearing loss in this group hasn't been established or classified. So when it comes to hearing, so audiologists are concerned that the continual use of headphones at unsafe volume may lead to an increase in hearing problems. So here are some rules or guidelines that can reduce the damage of our eyes and ears. So experts agree that eyes and ears need regular breaks from technology activities. So here's some helpful strategies. First is limit the technology. So close work time. When we are looking at the screen, follow the 2020 rule. So set a timer for 20 minutes to remind ourselves to look at in the window or at an object that at least 20 feet away from us for at least 20 seconds. So always remember that to take regular visual breaks is using any technology so that we can rest our eyes from it, and we're listening to music or any radio on our headphones or to speakers, we should take a break every hour. So the second one is use screens properly. Encourage ourselves to adapt good posture when using technology, and keep anything with a screen about 18 to 24 inches away from our eyes. Remind us to blink when looking at the screen, and don't allow them to use computers in brightly in lit areas. So to help protect our eyes against the three ways mentioned above is to use the screen properly. So the next one is reduce blue light exposure. So note that some devices such as smartphones, computers have nighttime settings which filter out the blue tones from the screen. It doesn't completely eliminate blue light exposure, but it does reduce how much is presented to our brain. So just do it. There's no harm in trying. So the next one is give ourselves an outdoor time. So some research indicates that the one who spend time outside each day have a lower risk of developing myopia. Myopia is also known as nearsightedness. Is a common vision condition in which you can see objects near to you clearly, but objects far away from you are blur. So researchers aren't sure why, but there's no harm in more outdoor playtime. So especially since it can offer our other benefits such as exercise. So next one is turn down the sound. So on the leading causes of hearing loss is exposure to noise. So even single bursts out of loud sound, such as a firecracker, can damage the tiny hair cell that line in the inner ear, often irreversible. So if our child or if other person can't hear you when listening to music on headphones or through speakers, reduce the volume or minimize the volume so that it can minimize the damage in our ears. So the last one is model good behavior. So one of the most important steps the expert says that is adopting safe technology habits ourselves or any other person. So if you do so, youngster or other people who are more likely to treat their own eyes and ears with care. So that's all. Thank you.
Next is number 10. Technology causes more energy consumption and pollution. So how has the technology changed the world we live in when it comes to energy consumption and pollution? So as a society, we consume more energy than we ever have in the past. Electronic devices obviously require electricity to run, which means it costs more to enjoy all of this tech. It also requires massive amount of energy to produce all of these gadgets. Not to mention the massive electronic waste problem due to gadgets that are no longer working. So how technology can harm the environment? So many of technology we use every day consume a lot more resources, more than they need to end use, and manufacturing them can create a mess. Here are a few of the ways that technology can harm the environment. Number one is pollution. Air, water, heat, and noise pollution can all be caused by producing and using technology. Second is consuming resources. So non-renewable resources including precious metals like gold are used to make technology. Many others such as coal can consume to generate the electricity to use technology. Even some renewable resources like trees and water are becoming contaminated or are used faster than they can renew themselves because of technology. Third, waste. Manufacturing technology creates large amount of waste and use. Computers and electronics get thrown out when they break or become outdated, called techno-trash. These electronics contain all of sort of hazardous materials that are very unsafe for environment. They need to be disposed of using special methods. Next is disrupting ecology. So clearing land waste, land where animals used to live to build factories, allowing pollution to contaminate the food chain can greatly affect the environment natural cycles. And the last, health hazard. Using toxic materials that can harm our health can cause cancer, and technology addiction can lead to other health problems like obesity and carpal tunnel syndrome. So the last, the growing e-waste problem. So the net effect is that despite effort to recycle the digital technology, e-waste remains a fundamental problem for the sector. Much e-waste contains concentrated amounts of potentially harmful products, and this shows little sign of abating. And the improper disposal of electronic products lead to the possibility of damaging the environment. As more e-waste is placed in landfills, exposure to environmental toxins is likely to increase, resulting in elevated risk of cancer and developmental and neurological disorder. That's all. Thank you.
Technology separates families. Technology has become an integral part of today's society. Without a fast-paced form of communication, you are light years behind the masses. It is easy to assume that these advancements have also diminished the communication between families. So here are the reasons why technology separates families. First is too much screen time. The situation prevailing currently in almost every household. If there are 4 members, each of them will have a personal screen with which they spend most of the time. So it is very important to interact with each other, as it helps maintain personal bond and fosters empathy for apprehensions for the other. And the next is lack of quality time. It is important to share some quality time with your family. Today's reality is that even when parents pretend to play with children or share some family moments, the emails or chatting is taking half of their attention. It is important to switch off the devices for at least an hour or two and spend some quality time with time together. So the habit of bringing work home is one of the main reasons for many failing relationships, as this compromises time for intimacy. Next is poor face-to-face interaction. Today, the mode of communication has drastically changed from direct face-to-face communication to merely chatting. This seriously affects children, as they will have poor face-to-face interaction skills when they grow up. As they spend most of the time with screens, people will have only limited experience of proper interaction with humans, which can lead to a shrink in the level of confidence. So the poor face-to-face interaction can severely affect the professional performance of the child, since he or she is brought up in such mechanical environment. The next is interrupted family time. It is good to share at least a meal together to have a good bonding with family members. The morning breakfast is used to watching everyone wash to make it in time for school and work. The dinner time too is interrupted by technology, with people choosing to eat and when they finish of chatting or working, even if they have dinner at the same time, everybody will be giving their focus on their personal screen. So this is very common today, as people during mealtime using their phones, their focus is on their phones instead of having their intimacy towards the relationship with their family. Next is the limited outdoor activities. The detrimental lifestyle with the lack of proper exercise and unhealthy eating habits is the prime reason for the most of the problems. Technology has a real impact on the way people have changed their healthy habits. So as people are very busy with their gadgets, they have no time for outdoor activities. Next is setting the next reason for why technology separates family is that because of setting the wrong example. So parents would advise children to go out and play, and they sit inside the home with their screens. If parents don't practice what they preach, the child will follow. It's very important to teach kids by setting good examples. So the parents should lead their children to the right path by giving them the right examples. That's all our references, and that's all.
So, in continuation of what the negative effects of brought by the innovations and technological advances in this information age is that the internet makes explicit videos more available to children. So many parents believe that their children have not seen inappropriate content online, but kids are saying something very, very different. The reality is that kids or children exposed to sexually explicit material, and children as young as 8 and 9 years of age can easily come across sexual content on the internet. Maybe the reason is that most or often children are accidentally exposed to explicit material by incorrectly typing in a web address or words into a search engine, and they unexpectedly find they are on a site they did not intend to visit. So research suggests that early exposure to sexually graphic material is likely to have a negative influence and a potentially harmful impact to the children. So, in moving on, how does viewing pornography affects children? So, first is that children may unconsciously store the experience in their brains and try to make sense of what they have seen. So, in this case, children may be curious of what is the feeling of if he or she is doing the thing he have seen in the internet. And then children may find ways to act it out to try to make sense of it. And third is that prematurely sexualize a child, and then incite a child to experiment with sexually explicit behavior to make sense of it. And then it will lead to a child to normalize and become desensitized to high risk behavior. And it can also shape a child's expectations in relationships, and could be that shape a child's expectations of physical appearances and certain sexual acts. So whenever you notice changes in behavior of your children, what things you need to consider to respond? So first and foremost is that to let your children know that you notice them, they seem out of sorts, and then ask if everything is okay or if you can help in any way. Second is that be emotionally available and willing to listen to your child. When a child goes through a stressful experience, it is helpful for them to just have someone who cares about them to talk to without fear of judgment. Then if your child does not want to talk, let them know you are available if they need you. If changes in behavior persist, consult with your family doctor. And one thing to add up to this, what things to consider to respond when changes of behavior in your child persists is that let them play around with other kids, and do not let them always stay inside their rooms and play with their gadgets. So what are things to do to reduce child's exposure to pornography? So first, set limits on your child's use of devices and what they are allowed to watch. So maybe you can let your child use cell phones or any gadgets whenever he have done his studies, and then supervise your child when they are online. So next is that set up parental controls and use filtering software. So next and last is that for younger children, use child visual search engines and apps. Example is Kiddle. So it is normal for tweens and teens to be sexually curious and in fact seek our explicit material. Yet adolescents who are seeking information about sexuality and relationships do not have the experience or knowledge to compare to some of the graphic material they come across. So the result is that the material can end up being a teaching tool in influencing their development of attitudes and beliefs about relationships, sex, or sexuality. So it is important to minimize the use of gadgets to your children and always supervise them of what they are of how they use their gadgets into. And that would be all. Thank you.
Drugs and sexual content. Social media promotes a culture where drugs and a lack of sexual boundaries are apparent. And this happens because of the lack of regulations and implementations of strict rules in social media platforms. Now, drugs and sexually explicit content are widespread and accessible to everyone. So just as what is happening nowadays, that a lot of photos, nude pictures or videos have been leaked online. So even though it is without consent of the person in that video or that picture, it's just that everyone is, making it spread without the consent of the person. Negative impact to the youth, where it could somehow be persuading for young viewers to do what they might have seen online. So since online, a lot of our childhood people or like the youth nowadays are into the internet, especially nowadays that we're doing online classes. So we really briefed our young people to be very tech savvy. So we've been doing online classes, and it somehow helped them to know how the internet goes and what are the ways in the internet that somehow they can access these photos without the consent of their parents or without the guidance of someone that is older than them. Private picture and video leakage that could somehow ruin a person's reputation and life at worst. So what I've mentioned earlier, so even though without your consent, you've been sharing that photo to only one person, but that person sent it to other person, and then it started leaking, and that's the cons of social media in terms of sexual and drugs related issues.
Technology doesn't build the best social skills. Social skills, the skills we use every day to interact and communicate with others. Types of social skills are verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Under verbal communication is speech, and under the non-verbal communication are gestures, facial expressions, and body language. How does technology affect social development? Increased technology use has the potential to create social disconnection for young and older children alike, which can negatively impact the development of social and relational skills. Recent research has shown that screen time is negatively associated with social skills development in toddlers. Specifically, the more time they spend with devices, the more their social development suffers in the area of relating and interacting with others. Compliance with directions and ability to help others, levels of disruptive social behavior such as being bossy or bullying increase with more screen time activity. How technology negatively affects children's social skills. Number 1. Lack of confidence in communication. Children and teens constantly chat with their peers and even some strangers on their social phones. on their cell phones. It seems like they have good communication skills when we look at it, but when you make the same children talk with random strangers or their peers, they lack confidence. Number 2, difficult to maintain eye contact. Eye contact is indeed plays a vital role in when communicating or socializing. Your eyes and body language provides more meaning to what you want to say, but due to the overuse of technology, people face difficulty socializing and making eye contact with people. That's it, thank you.
Technology addiction is becoming more widespread. Technology dependence is an umbrella term that includes addictive behavior towards video gaming, social media, texting, gambling, cybersex and online porn, eBay, and other online auctioning or shopping platforms, as well as the general overuse of smartphones. Technology addiction is more widespread than we may think. Overuse of modern technology can bring on chemical changes that are similar to those caused by substance abuse. This explains why people who use technology for extended periods of time develop dependencies. Addiction to tech likely stems from a combination of biological, genetic, and environmental factors. People who are dependent on technology are more likely to have pre-existing mental health conditions like depression, anxiety, social phobias, and sleep disorders. People prone to low self-esteem or those who deal with a lot of stress at work and at home are more likely to develop compulsive technology behaviors. Social media has taken design cues from the world of gambling. Social media is designed to capture our attention for as long as possible and as frequently as possible. Notifications, algorithmic content, and bottomless feeds keep us coming back for more. So fear of missing out. The fear of missing out drives a lot of us onto the internet, fueling a lot of people's anxieties. Think about it. No one wants to be left outside the loop. You want to see your friends' latest travel pictures, the latest technology news, that meme your friends have been sharing in the group chat, or discover the latest event in your city. If your friends are all using social media, there is a sense of pressure to make sure you stay in the loop to maintain your social connections. Fear of missing out is powerful and is becoming a common tool on social media platforms to keep us users online as much as possible. So, gaming addiction. It feels good to have a good game after a long and busy day. However, there has been a massive rise in gaming addiction across the world, impacting both psychological and physical health of people. Some of these include a sense of euphoria while plugged in, feeling anxious, ashamed, guilty, or depressed as a result of technology use, skipping on sleep, and dishonesty about technology use. There are even some physical signs to look out for, like sudden weight gain or loss, carpal tunnel syndrome, headaches, and neck or back aches. In this new ultra-connected world, many of us feel we have to stay plugged in. More than half of the population are active on the internet. We cannot afford to be away from our gadgets even for a few minutes because technology is becoming increasingly ubiquitous in our school, work, and private lives. That would be all. Thank you.
Hi, good day everyone. My name is Edward Bulingot and I'll be discussing one of the negative results brought about by innovations and technological advances in the information age. One of it is a loss of privacy online and risk of hacking creates more decide. Privacy concerns seem to come up daily in the news these days, whether it be government spying through the National Security Agency or people willingly giving information about themselves away on social media. It seems as if no one has any privacy anymore. People, especially young people, are being exposed to privacy risks through their use of technology. Willingly given or not, the formerly private information of the populace is being stored, tracked, and sold to buyers for both legal and illegal use. Though there are many stories in the news about privacy concerns, The general public doesn't seem to be worried, or are perhaps too ill informed to be worried. Is this problem truly nothing to be concerned about? Or is the lack of concern letting this problem spiral out of control? So let's define privacy. The best place to start is with a definition of privacy in the context of technology. The best way to describe privacy in this context is in terms of restricted access or limited control. Restricted access means that there is a form of privacy where some people are allowed access and others are not. So a person can stop others from viewing their information if they so choose. It is reasonable to expect the same amount of privacy in these situations that one would have if not using technology. To ensure control over their personal data, individuals need to have what is so-called the limited control over their personal data, so that they can ensure a restricted access. This can be as simple as being able to toggle privacy settings on a Facebook page. The reason this definition is important is because there's always been a trade-off between a loss of privacy and a perceived benefit of convenience. If a person doesn't have ownership of their privacy, they don't have anything to trade with in this scenario. However, when using a website, the control a user may feel they have may just be an illusion. Even with all the privacy settings turned on, there is no guarantee that Facebook isn't going to use your data. So who is taking our information? There are a number of different groups looking to gather information on people, because information can lead to knowledge and knowledge is power. Luckily for the people looking for information, the internet makes it easy to gather a large amount of information quickly. Two other major players, the Google and Facebook, have similar tactics and similar goals. Both companies provide a number of services to users free of charge, because their primary source of revenue is selling user information to advertisers. These companies have the capability to track user traffic and are essentially giant databases filled with user information that can be mined and sold for profit. While Google and Facebook aren't the only websites that do this, they are the two major players that come up when user privacy is discussed. Just to check how much Google knows about you, you can check your Google Ads settings, where they use the data they have collected or on you to guess your age, gender, and interests. This is the information Google uses to tailor ads to everyone that uses their services. So what is the information used for? If a service is being offered to you for free, chances are that you are the product. Your time and eyes are what are making companies like Facebook and Google money. In this case of Facebook, advertisers paid them for two different types of ads. Some ads are blanket ads that have an equal chance of being seen by everyone. However, most of the advertising money that Facebook is from targeted ads. So Facebook searches through the likes and statuses of users to target ads at the people that would be most likely to buy the advertised products. Basically, the information that Facebook collects on its user is sold to companies that want to advertise on their platform. Google does the same thing with the information it has gathered on users, but most of the Google's revenue still comes from sponsored search results. According to location-based sponsored search advertising, sponsored search consists of three parties. First is the users post keyword queries with the goal of receiving relevant materials. Second, advertisers aim at promoting their product or services through a properly designed ad and target relevant users by declaring to the search engine a set of keywords that captures their interests. Third, or lastly, the search engine mediates between users and advertisers and facilitates that interactions. So, every time a word is searched in Google, all the sponsors who have paid for a bid every time that word shows up has a chance of appearing as one of the first three searches on the page. If you are logged into Google, your searches are also tracked so that ads that they deem relevant to you can be shown at any time. The world of technology is always evolving, and so is our relationship with the internet. Back in the 1990s, the only thing you seemingly had to worry about was your email. Then you started banking online, and now your smartphone's connected. You have Facebook, and pretty much your whole life is an online. And you're always being tracked. Your entire browsing history is stored by your ISP, tracked by Facebook, and perhaps other advertisers. Even your IoT devices might be reporting on you. So keeping things private is already quite a big ask, even before the hackers get involved. What information is available to hackers? So you may not have realized quite how much of your personal information is available on the internet. Let's have a run through some of the types of information that's there and why hackers might be interested. So first, we have the PPI, personally identifiable information. This includes your name, address, email address, SSN, tax number, date of birth, medical records, educational records, and employment. There's a lot in this type of data that a hacker could use to steal your identity. This might include details of purchases that you have made in Shopee or Amazon or Lazada, or other investments made with an online broker. All of this private information could be used to compromise your other online accounts too. Second, we have the emails, SMS, and instant messages are all kept on servers somewhere. There might be plenty of information in your emails that you don't want the world to see: confidential business documents, love letters, details of your bank accounts. And hackers will also be interested in your contacts because if they can get hold of those, they can send phishing emails to everyone you know. Third, your browsing data includes cookies, ISP logs, and browser plugins that might store data. It's useful to advertisers, and with the advent of big data, it might be more useful than you realize. In real time, you may be using the internet to make a Skype call or for video conferencing. Well, are you sure that no one's listening in? So hackers are always evolving their techniques. For instance, phishing has been a standard method for over a decade, which involves sending fake emails that either ask you to connect to a spoofed website that looks like one you trust, or that have links that install malware on your computer. But now, fake links on social media and hacked social media accounts are also serving as ways to intrude your privacy and steal your data. Given that hackers are a massive threat to your online privacy, what can you do about it? So that's all for my report, and let's proceed for the other reporters. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am John Michael A, and I am here to discuss about the stress during the digital age. The dark side of technology. Technology is everywhere and has always been an essential part of our daily lives. Almost everyone today owns a smartphone. That is because it's helpful to them. This also meant that we have been dependent on the technology and possibly addicted to the use of it. This led to people being stressed and anxious. Technology as a stressor. Since technology has become an essential part in our daily lives, it also meant that we had to put it in our mind all the time. This has then caused stress and anxiety. For example, when you left your phone somewhere, it causes you discomfort and you get stressed out. Or when you see something on the internet that makes you uncomfortable. Stressors in technology. Number 1. Constant distraction. The constant beeping, flashing, vibrating of notifications from our phones cause us to lose focus on what we are currently doing. We are driven to immediately check our phones, therefore leading to interruption of work or study. This in turn leads to losing attention, memory, or learning. Next, irregular sleeping schedule. Most of us use our phones before going to sleep, and then many hours later, we are still on our phones, unable to sleep. The use of phones before going to sleep causes an overstimulation of the brain, making it hard for us to switch off. Losing sleep means reduced resilience and increases the levels of stress and anxiety. Work and life balance. In the past, the boundary between work and life was clear. Today, with the presence of fast and constant communication, our work life and home life overlap. We can now receive work-related calls, texts, emails at home that are normally dealt with in a workplace. This makes it hard for us to disengage from work and truly relax. Next, fear of missing out, also known as FOMO, is a type of social anxiety that arises from the fear of missing out on something. Because of this, we just want to be connected all the time. The more connected we are, the more we are likely to experience FOMO because it leads us believing that we are missing out on something that our friends and our acquaintances are doing. Social comparison. We can't help ourselves comparing to others and use those comparisons to evaluate how we think and feel about ourselves. This notion is then amplified by the use of social media. Social media, by its nature, actively encourages social comparison, as it is littered with information that can easily be used as metrics of apparent social successes. These metrics are problematic in themselves, because if we do not get enough likes to a comment or picture we have posted, or if someone has more likes or friends than us, it can make us feel superior. The disparity between real life and what people actually post on social media means that we tend to only see an extremely edited highlight reel of other people's lives. This effectively gives the false information that others lead a more exciting or perfect, interesting life than our own. Dealing with the stress. Here are some examples on how to reduce the stress you get from technology. First, dedicate some time to exercise, do yoga or meditate. Go for a relaxing walk without minding your phone. Take a nap or lie down to relax. Read a book or magazine. Go on a camping or retreat in a place away from technology. Dedicate a zone wherein you cannot use your phone or computer at home. Relieve yourself from social media between specific hours. Turn off your phone. Don't put into your mind everything that you see on social media. And last, seek professional help. Anything that allows you to take your mind away from technology will clear your head and free you from the stress. Experiencing stressful events cannot always be avoided, but we all have the power to change our life at any moment. And understanding the stress triggers is the beginning of it.
Good day. My name is Darnell Morris, and today I'm going to discuss technology leads to phantom and tendinitis. Phantom is another serious result of influence of our devices in our daily lives. Basically, phantom is the development of tendinitis within the thumb. The continuous and frequent use of your thumb when texting or pushing buttons leads to this painful and persistent condition. Phantom. If you spend a lot of time gripping or clutching your phone, your fingers and thumb can start to cramp or become inflamed. This condition is called smartphone finger, texting tendinitis, texting thumb, and gamer's thumb. Tendinitis. Tendons are strong cords of tissue that connect muscles to the bones. Tendinitis is when a tendon is inflamed. It can happen to any tendon in the body. When a tendon is inflamed, it causes swelling, pain, and discomfort. Using a smartphone or tablet requires a hand motions that put stress on several small muscles, tendons, and nerves in our fingers and wrists. These repetitions can lead to inflammation, pain, and even surgery. Most of the problems involve the thumbs, pinky fingers, and wrists. As you can see here in the picture, this is one of the common problems when we are using a larger gadget. People will rest the larger phones against their pinky fingers as part of their grip. The constant pull of the joint puts stress on the pinky, leading to pain. momentum, and tendinitis. So according to Dr. Baron, you can actually get inflammation of the tendons and the joints, the small joints, and the tendons of the hand, as well as the strains of the forearms muscle. That can lead to more discrete problems such as what we call momentum, which is inflammation of the base of the thumb as well as the tennis elbow. And just this general tendinitis that can so prevalent in the wrist areas. This is one of the disadvantages of technology, which is the frequent use of smartphone that may lead to phantom and tendinitis. So this is all for my topic, and thank you.
Good day everyone, I am Louise Mario. I'm a third year BS Mechanical Engineering student. Today I'm going to tackle about the topic, technology may cause a loss of empathy as we became more accustomed to online violence. So before I start with the topic, I'm going to introduce to you the disadvantages of online technology to us human beings. Impacts of online technology to children. Parenting children of today's generation comes with a unique set of challenges due to the many recent advancements in technology. There is no denying that rich technology has in our lives, as well as the lives of our children. Technology is virtually in every home in one way or another. About 96% of the Americans have a TV and 94% of the children ages 3 to 18 have internet access either through a computer or smartphone. According to a national survey done by Common Sense Media in 2019, 53% of the children have a smartphone by the time they turn 11. Therefore, it's important for parents to be mindful in how their children use technology and the potential effects, both positive and negative. So, negative impacts of technology or online technology. So first is social skills. With the increased use of technology, children might not be adequately developing their social skills. This can lead to more children being socially awkward, withdrawn, shy, or intimidated by social situations. They might not know how to engage with other children or adults. Developing social skills takes practice, and if technology is often in a way, there are fewer opportunities for kids to develop these skills. Next is relationships. Children might be used to being alone and lost the desire to engage with their parents or even friends outside of the internet. Often the virtual reality of their devices is more appealing and entertaining than the physical reality. Next, health problems. Technology can potentially influence the child's developing brain and problem-solving skills. For instance, the children might be reliant on a device to solve the problem for them rather than using brain's connections to work through a problem and find a solution. There could also be a lack of exercise due to being inside, which can cause weight gain. If kids use their devices before bedtime, this could lead to reduced sleep quality, affecting their overall well-being and immune system. Ability to focus. Children who spend a lot of time using devices might have a reduced attention span and ability to focus due to their reliance on technology to pay attention for them. This is evident in the classrooms where teachers are opting for shorter lessons lesson plans to accommodate students becoming easily distracted. Dangers of browsing. With so much information available on the internet, it's difficult for parents to monitor what their children are exposed to, including inappropriate content or interaction with strangers. Last, disinformation. It defined it is defined as all forms of false, inaccurate or misleading information designed, presented, and promoted to internationally cause problem harm for other for profit. This includes some forms of automated accounts used for astroturfing, network or fake followers, fabricated or manipulated videos, targeted advertising, organized trolling, visual memes, and much more. It can also involve a whole array of digital behavior that is more about circulation and disinformation than about production of disinformation, spanning from posting, commenting, sharing, tweeting, and retweeting. The group was aware that in the near future, disinformation will increasingly involve communication via private messaging applications, chat bots, and voice-operated systems, as well as augmented reality and virtual reality and content generated or manipulated by AI. So before I'm going to conclude, I'm going to explain what is empathy. So empathy allows us to understand the people around us from the relationships and proceed with compassion when tragedy strikes. It is integral both to the ability to form a society and to work together for survival. And yet, in the information age, empathy seems to be atrophying. Empathy is a reaction to the perceived or anticipated emotions of or feeling of others, and although perhaps viewed as a weakness in a culture that promotes focus on self over society. Contrast O'Brien and H. Singh's research on the recent decline in empathy suggests that empathy is the key to maintaining and improving human society. Empathy allows people to develop and maintain their relationships. In a school, empathy permits students to socialize, develop friendships, begin to understand social constructs, and work with peers in a group. In a job, empathy is necessary to effective teamwork, collaboration, negotiation, and skills needed for the job itself. Increased empathy reduces the likelihood of recidivism, creates safer societies, and make compassion possible. It is also thanks to empathy that we can enjoy the thrill of adrenaline when we watch heroes narrowly defy death in films, or stop ourselves from destroying our relationship when we see the first signs of anguish in a friend's face. We can use empathy to act with compassion, feel others' pain or joy, or even manipulate and deceive. This is because there are different kinds of empathy, and although all kinds of empathy are valuable, innate human traits, we can excel at one kind of empathy and yet ignore, stifle, or simply lack others. So this is my conclusion. So despite all the negatives of online technology, I believe it is quite valuable in our daily lives. No matter how we look at the negative aspects of internet, such as violence and crime, we can always conclude that the individual is the most important factor. There is no need for us to be influenced by the violence we witness on the internet if we learn to comprehend what the genuine nature of empathy is. Only crimes can be tolerated and even prevented by disciplining ourselves or our children first. We can establish in our brains and in the minds of our children that bad is always terrible and that it cannot be allowed in the personal or online realms by leading ourselves and our children's children. Furthermore, no matter how we all well educated we are, we all have a part of us that fantasizes about hurting others. It is entirely up to us to decide whether we will choose the good or negative side of ourselves. Many internet acts have resulted in many lives being wasted, as well as numerous actions that have the potential to destroy others' reputation. The only thing that we can do is to defend and protect those who are victims of violence or as well as those who are vulnerable to it. Finally, we will continue to work hard to find and stop the perpetrators of all these crimes. So thank you and God bless. This is all includes my report.
Digital eye strain. DES is the term used for a variety of eye conditions and vision-related symptoms linked to the prolonged use of digital devices such as mobile phones, tablets, and computers. It is also known as computer vision syndrome or CVS and visual fatigue or VF. According to a recent report released in April 2021, it is found out that there are currently 4.72 billion active internet users around the world, accounting 60% of the global population. The same report also showed that an internet user between ages 16 and 64 spent close to 7 hours each day online. So what really caused us to spend more time on the internet? We rely on the internet for many aspects of our lives nowadays, from searching for a cooking recipe, being connected with our friends and family, video games and other entertainment purposes, and for school matters. The need for internet in our daily lives will no doubt increase our time spent on the digital device. So what causes DES? DES is caused by a number of different factors linked to the excessive use of digital devices. The first one is length of time spent on the device. Then the working distance and the effect of the amount of light in the surrounding working environment. Length of time spent on a device. Spending 2 or more hours in front of a digital device reduces the number of blinks per minute. Blinking helps maintain the moist on our eyes and it helps in cleaning any particles stuck in our eye. The average blinks of a person is about 15 times per minute. The working distance. The angle and distance from which a device is used also causes symptoms of DES. Unlike desktop computers, which are viewed with a horizontal gaze causing eyes to open wider, mobile phones and tablets are viewed in a vertical gaze. The wider exposed from surface of the eye may cause evaporation of the tear film, resulting in dry eye. The effect of the amount of light in the surrounding working environment. When light is too bright, the light from the surrounding environment will compete with the digital device screen light, making it too harsh for the eyes. The exposure of these harsh lights for extended periods may cause eye strain. When light is not enough in an environment, the pupil increases in size, so that sufficient light enters the eye and may also cause eye strain. So what are the symptoms of DES? First one is blurred vision, eye strain, headaches, dry eyes, neck and shoulder pain, eye discomfort, sensitivity to bright lights, and irritation. Here are some treatments or ways to avoid DES. Blink often to refresh your eyes, take eye breaks, check the lighting and reduce glare, adjust your monitor, adjust your screen settings. That's all, and thank you.
So good day. Today I'm going to talk about one of the negative impacts of technological advancement, especially in relation to the aggressive behaviors of children. So excessively playing video games can generate greater risk of obesity, aggression, and violent behavior in children and teenagers. The recent survey by ESUCAM reveals that over 82% of teenagers spend an average of 14 to 16 hours per week playing games on computer, web portal, or consoles, and about 7% of children surveyed qualified as being pathological video gamers, or over 20 hours per week. So gaming is taking time away that could be spent on activities that have educational benefits. Compulsive gamers display signs of diminished empathy, increased aggression, and conflicts at home. So school and work. It could also create problems and lead to poor social skills. So rising addiction to video games include easy availability of resources and absence of quality parental care, reveals survey conducted under ESUCAM's Social Development Foundation. So over 2,000 teenagers and 1,000 parents were interviewed by ESUCAM during April 2011 to June 2011. The sample include almost an equal number of males and females in the age group of 8 to 18 years. About 84% ages 8 to 18 of children said that they play violent games when they're alone and with their parents. So 76% prefer to play action game, and 45% of gamers who shows signs similar to addiction are also more likely to have a video game system in their bedroom. So a total of 1,200 teens, or 76%, played video games. So 20% of the gamers were girls, and females gamers were found to spend an average of 30 minutes playing on weekdays and 1 hour playing on the weekends. So male gamers spend an average of 50 minutes playing on the weekdays and 2 to 3 hours playing on the weekends. So gamers who are going to school account for 72% and college students at 28%. So more than half of participants said they play daily, 36% play weekly, and 18% play 3 to 4 times a week. So only 36% admitted that they have addiction behaviors and cannot control themselves when they play. So 64% responded said that the online games makes them feel good and distressed. So the survey also disclosed that over 90% of kids between 8 to 4 years old go online to play games, with Facebook being quoted as their favorite website. So the social networking games are probably a big part of their gaming habits. Above 80% of parents say that video games are getting worse day by day, and some games connect to the internet, which can allow children and adolescents to play online with unknown adults and peers. So getting highly involved with video games can become addicting, and parents need to be cautious about how many hours kids play, says Dr. Vicky Rao, Chairman, ESUCAM Health Committee, and Sir Ganga Ram Hospital. So Dr. Rao further said that there are concerns about the effect of violent video games on young minds who play video games excessively. So he also added that children who are exposed to violence can become immune or numb due to the horror of violence, imitate the violence they see, and show more aggressive behavior with greater exposure to violence. Some children accept violence as a way to handle problems. So the repeated exposure to violence, the greater is the impact of children he says. So the survey also revealed that 23% of teenagers feel addictive to video games, with about one-third of males, 26%, and little more than 1 in 10 females, or 11%, feeling addicted. So on the other hand, 44% of teenagers said that their friends are addicted to games. 30% of parents say they always or sometimes know what games their children play. 12% say that they always or sometimes check the ratings before their children are allowed to play a game. So 9% of parents say they always or something stop their kids from playing a game. 6% of parents say they always or sometimes play games with their children. So parents of teens who play games are generally neutral on the effect of games on their children, with nearly two-thirds believing that games have no impact one way or the other on their offspring. 62% of parents say that video games have no effect in their child one way or another. So 9% of parents say that video games have a positive influence on their children. And lastly, 13% of parents say video games have a negative influence on their child.